Trump's beautiful bill is a grotesque betrayal of America's most vulnerable. Donald Trump and his MAGA minions in the Republican Party have done it again, rammed through a monstrosity of a bill that screws over the very people they claim to champion. The so-called One Big Beautiful Bill Act, passed in a shady, middle-of-the-night House vote on May 22, 2025, is a masterclass in cruelty, cloaked in populist rhetoric. This isn't just a policy failure. It's a moral abomination that will bleed healthcare from millions, strip judicial oversight, and hand out tax breaks to gun-toting elites while deporting innocent Americans, yes, Americans, in a dystopian fever dream led by Trump's deputized goon squad. And the kicker? The red states that worship at Trump's gold-plated altar will bleed the most. Let's start with the carnage this bill unleashes on Medicaid and Medicare. The Congressional Budget Office, CBO, projects $625 billion in Medicaid cuts over a decade, potentially kicking 7.6 to 8.6 million people off the program. Work requirements starting in 2026 and twice-yearly eligibility checks are designed to bury the poor under red tape. Who gets hit hardest? Republican strongholds like West Virginia, Kentucky, and Arkansas, where Medicaid enrollment is a lifeline for rural hospitals and families battered by poverty and opioid addiction. In states like these, KFF estimates enrollment could drop 15 to 32%, leaving cancer patients, disabled veterans, and single mothers without care. And don't forget the 12 million dual eligibles who rely on both Medicaid and Medicare, many in red states, facing a double whammy as the bill's $2.3 trillion debt spike triggers $500 billion in automatic Medicare cuts via sequestration. So much for Trump's promise to protect these programs. He's torching them to fund tax cuts for his billionaire buddies. But the bill's vileness doesn't stop there. Tucked into its 2,500 pages slipped in during that 7 a.m. vote with zero public hearings are provisions that shred the checks and balances of our democracy. One insidious clause curbs the power of district judges to challenge presidential actions, effectively giving Trump a blank check to act like the dictator he's always fantasized about being. Imagine federal courts, already stretched thin, unable to stop executive overreach. This isn't draining the swamp, it's flooding it with Trump's authoritarian sludge. Then there's the absurd tax break for people with silencers on their weapons. Yes, you read that right. We're now going to hear of reports of whole families killed weeks ago and no one knew. Silencers used in crimes against people they don't see as American enough. While kids with cancer lose Medicaid, the NRA crowd gets a pat on the back for their muffled AR-15s. This isn't policy. It's a perverse handout to the gun fetishists in Trump's base, all while the CBO warns the bill's tax cuts, $1.6 trillion in permanent giveaways to the top 10%, will screw over the bottom 10% of earners, slashing their household resources by 4%. Trump, the self-proclaimed man of the people, is fleecing every taxpayer to pad the pockets of the ultra-rich. He's not just an elite, he's the motherfucking king of them. And let's talk about the human cost of Trump's deportation fetish. The bill pumps billions into border security, but it's not just about securing the border. Reports are surfacing of Proud Boys, yes, those mega-loving, fist-swinging yahoos being deputized as faux ICE agents. They're rounding up American citizens, including children with cancer, and deporting them to countries they've never set foot in, all without a shred of due process. No criminal record? Doesn't matter. Born here? Tough luck. These are our neighbors, our kids, our co-workers, torn from their homes in a xenophobic purge that makes Stalin look restrained. The Center for American Progress warns of devastating impacts, and they're not exaggerating. This is state-sponsored terror. The MAGA GOP, blindly marching behind Trump, are complicit in this nightmare. They're not just morons. They're willfully ignorant, digging themselves deeper into Trump's dump of lies and greed. Red state voters, who cheered for Trump's America First shtick, are about to get a brutal wake-up call when their hospitals close and their families lose coverage. The Center on Budget and Policy Priorities calls the Medicaid cuts a nut kick to the poor, and they're right. Yet Republicans, from House Speaker Mike Johnson to the lowliest backbencher, clapped like trained seals for this bill, too spineless to question their dear leader. There's an escalating narrative within our nation, one that ignites fury and frustration. Yet in the midst of this chaos, a glimmer of hope persists. It is crucial to understand, MAGA supporters, that the anger directed at your allegiance is not born from hatred, but rather from a place of profound disappointment. Disappointment rooted in betrayal, as the values that once defined America are set ablaze by the very leaders who should be safeguarding them. It's time to pause and reflect, to recognize that admitting fault is not a sign of weakness, but a path to redemption. Embrace the opportunity to break free from the Trump cult. The allure of power has blinded many, yet the call for change rings loud and clear. Fight for the people you claim to represent. Their futures depend on it. Reach out to your senators. Apply pressure where it matters most to ensure transparency in governance, not secrecy. Let your voices resonate, demanding that they prioritize the welfare of everyday Americans over the fleeting interests of millionaires seeking to silence dissent. Protect Medicare and Medicaid. These are lifelines for many. Stand firm against the exploitation of public trust that only further enriches those already in power. As we confront the grotesque betrayals within our current political landscape, we must not fall victim to apathy. The reality is harsh. What is deemed beautiful by some is in fact a betrayal of the core principles this nation was built upon. The wounds inflicted by the GOP are deep, revealing the cowardice and lies that lurk behind their facade. The architects of suffering lay bare their intentions, demonstrating a willingness to destroy rather than concede. America finds itself at a critical juncture requiring a collective, courageous stand. History will remember this moment, and the echoes of our choices will resonate for generations. How long will we allow the narratives of the deceitful to dictate our fate? The months ahead demand action. We must rise and call out the injustices that permeate our systems. Children studying from history books in the future will ask why we stood idly by while our values crumbled and why the evils of division prevailed. We owe it to them, to ourselves, to transcend the bitterness and make a resounding stand for truth, justice, and the common good. Ultimately, the path may be steep, but it is one worth traversing together. Let us not dig a deeper hole. Instead, let us pave a new road towards healing the fractures of our society. An open letter to Republicans, the truth about the left and the divide between us. Dear Republicans, there's a lie we've all been fed, a toxic narrative that's been weaponized to keep us at each other's throats. It's the story that the left, those of us who lean liberal, progressive, or just don't align with the GOP, want to destroy the America you love. That we're cheering for criminals to roam free, that we want to strip your rights, turn your kids gay, or let cartels run wild in the streets. It's a story built to make you fear us, hate us, and see us as the enemy. But I'm here to tell you, it's a fabrication, and it's tearing us apart for no good reason. Let's start with the basics. We don't want criminals in this country any more than you do. The idea that the left is soft on crime or wants dangerous people walking free is a caricature, not reality. We want safe streets, safe schools, and safe homes, just like you. We want justice for victims and consequences for those who harm others. The difference isn't in the goal, it's in the approach. Some of us believe in rehabilitation alongside punishment or addressing root causes like poverty and mental health. But make no mistake, no one on the left is out here rooting for chaos. And the notion that we want politicians stealing our money, please. We're as fed up with corruption as you are. The left isn't a monolith of tax and spend fanatics. Many of us are working class, scraping by just like you. We don't want our hard-earned dollars funneled to corporate cronies or bloated bureaucracies any more than you do. We want transparency, accountability, and a system that works for us, not the elite. Speaking of which, we're just as tired of leaders who ignore us for the will of the wealthy. The left has been screaming about corporate influence and political elitism for decades. Sound familiar? It's not just your fight, it's ours too. Let's talk about guns. The left isn't coming for your right to protect your home, your family, or to hunt. Most of us support the Second Amendment, even if we don't shout it as loudly. We own firearms too, legally obtained, responsibly handled. The debate isn't about taking away your guns. It's about finding a balance to keep them out of the wrong hands. Did you know that many of the guns fueling cartel violence in Mexico and beyond trace back to legal sales in red states? The same guns that end up in the hands of troubled kids who shoot up schools. Kids our society has failed to support, failed to guide. This isn't a left versus right problem. It's a shared tragedy we all want to stop. Here's the truth, we're not as different as they want you to think. The system, built and sustained by the elite, not by us, thrives on our division. It's a machine that runs on the blood of Americans, pitting us against each other, while the powerful consolidate their grip. They want you to believe the left is a horde of woke radicals who hate your values, just like they tell us you're all bigoted zealots who want to control our lives. It's a lie designed to keep us distracted, fighting each other instead of the real enemy. A system that serves itself, not us. Think about it. I love a good movie, a cold drink, the crackle of a campfire under a starlit sky. I love hiking trails, the rush of a great book, the buzz of a Long Island iced tea. You might prefer a beer, a hunting trip, or a different kind of story. But at the end of the day, we could sit together, share those drinks, and watch the sunset. We'd probably laugh about the same dumb jokes, get choked up over the same songs, or swap stories about the people we love. That's who we are, not enemies, but neighbors, friends, Americans. The elite want you to think we're out to ruin your way of life. They paint a picture of the left as a boogeyman, pushing agendas to undermine your family, your faith, your freedoms. They'll tell you we want to turn your kids gay or let cartels flood the streets with drugs and guns. But let's be real. What two consenting adults like Tom and Tim do in their private lives has zero impact on you unless you make it your business. Live and let live, it's an old saying for a reason. Do not complain about what one needs not subject themselves to. And as for the cartels, we're all horrified by their violence, their trafficking, their poison. The left isn't cheering for them. We're fighting for solutions, just like you. Freedom is a sacred value universally embraced. It is the foundation upon which countless lives are built, allowing us the liberty to chase our passions unencumbered by outside interference. Yet this freedom has a price. When we infringe upon the liberties of others, we inadvertently surrender our own rights. This is not merely a political stance, but a fundamental human principle that transcends ideological divides. The reality is stark. Both major political parties, Democrats and Republicans, have perpetuated a division that need not exist. They thrive on discord, painting the other side as the enemy, which clouds our shared vision for a better society. As citizens, we must realize that the narrative they weave benefits them while leaving us to grapple with the consequences. It fosters an environment where animosity and distrust flourish, obscuring the common ground from which we all could benefit. In this fractured state, we can choose to act differently. Let us refuse to become pawns in their game of division. Instead, we must gather together as one people. It starts with simple gestures, sharing a drink, reminiscing about memories under a vibrant sunset. Each acts as a reminder of our shared humanity, teaching us that we are not so disparate after all. Through open dialogue and empathetic listening, we have the power to reshape our country into one that prioritizes freedom and mutual respect above all else. The vision of a unified America is within our grasp. It is an America where we are not defined by our differences, but by our shared hopes and dreams. A nation that values the individual yet emphasizes the importance of the collective journey towards a brighter future for every citizen. Let us rise above the noise and seek understanding, for in solidarity lies our strength and in harmony our potential. Together we can mold a society that uplifts each of us, crafting a narrative of hope that benefits all, not just a select few. We hold the keys to a renewed sense of community, embracing tolerance, compassion, and a relentless pursuit of freedom for every person. It is time we reclaim our destiny, united as one under the banner of freedom and respect. Here's where we agree. Freedom is sacred. No one should have the right to infringe on another's liberties. But the flip side is true too. When someone crosses that line, they forfeit their own. That's not a left or right idea. It's a human one. We all want the ability to pursue our lives, our loves, our dreams, without someone else's agenda shoved down our throats. The problem isn't each other. It's the system that amplifies our differences and drowns out our common ground. Both parties are complicit. The Democrats and Republicans aren't your saviors. They're two sides of the same broken coin. They've built a divide where none should exist, convincing us to see each other as threats instead of allies. But we can reject that. We can choose to see through the lies, to sit down together, to talk, to listen. We can rebuild a country that works for all of us, not just the elite. So, my fellow Americans, let's stop fighting the battles they want us to fight. Let's stop letting them define us by our differences. We're not so different after all. Let's share that drink, watch that sunset, and take back the America we all love, one built on freedom, respect, and the pursuit of a better tomorrow, together with hope and heart. By Scott Young, aka Sin Famous Gamer, and American on the Left.